operate in love, we take action.
Because if I can do it, I promise you any of you can do it. There's no question about that.
If you want your present to be better, your future has to be bigger. What is up, Honey Badger Nations? John Kitchen's got the Gringo Rican and Santa Claus on with us today.
Ho, ho, ho.
How are things in the west side of the 216?
They're freaking cold. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh.
Do you want anybody wondering what to get Santa Claus for Christmas? Let me give you a few ideas. Some sunshine, some 80 degree, that 87 Puerto Rican weather, please. We make Santa very happy.
You're gonna need a clean bill of health and an airplane ticket.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. What's up, fellas? Man, how is here we are, man. Thanksgiving week. It's been it feels like we were having a conversation. It was January. Here we are at the end of the year already.
It is crazy.
It is.
Maybe a little faster this year because, we weren't locked in our houses for like we were in 2020.
Yeah. It's just, I'm noticing more and more and more just stuff, right? Events, stuff. And was chatting with Renee before this. And, I think we were starting to see really good, to events, reservation to show up rates. And I think it's going to get back to what we've always kind of rule of thumb, especially on the non-paying events, the 50-50 ratio, just because people have so much going on, so much distraction.
Right.
Oh, Al, what's good, man? How's I know you got you're still rocking. How's Cleveland? How's real estate? How's the Stasek group?
Yeah, we're just cranking away. I'm actually meeting with Joel tomorrow for a couple hours. We're gonna kind of do a precursor to the strategy for 2022. I'm excited to just see where we want to take it. We're gonna put our creative hats on and see what we want it to look like and what are all the ways that we can continue chugging along to where I don't know where we're excited about growing again, and so I think that we've found ourselves in a place where we have some really great people on the team, and I just think that it's time to evolve and find what that next structure could look like, what that next place could look like, and what we want to do, and then more importantly what we don't want to do, and cross those off the list. And so that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, here.
It's such a great point. I know we've talked about it, and it was the 2000 British rowing team, and bear with me if you guys have heard this, but having that one ultimate decision making filter of the example from the 2000 Olympic British rowing team. They had not won a medal since 1912, and they changed everything out of 96 going into 2000, but they really just created clear boundary of how to make better decisions. And, their whole decision-making filter was, is this going to make the boat go faster? And, hey, is this trip? Is this donut? Is this conversation? Is this going to help us make the boat go faster? And, we've seen over the last decade plus that most agents don't have a clear decision-making filter, and they just say yes to everything. And then they get bogged down with so much stuff. And, just because it was fresh, and I know she wouldn't mind me sharing this, it's just really like trying to help Renee work through that as well. And she's like, well, I've got this and I've got this and I've got this. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to go up a little bit to the umbrella. What's the overarching umbrella? I have this investment, I have this investment. And we know at the end of the day, there's only one goal, and that goal is freedom. And so whatever that freedom is for you, what is your perfect day? What is your number? And is this decision helping me get closer to that or not? And, we were challenged with working with Mark Chesley about how do we increase our decisions per day? How do we increase our decisions, per hour? And being able to have a clear, your boat, what's going to make your boat go faster? What is your boat? And I think that's just one of the easiest, simplest examples for everybody listening in is what is your boat? And are you making decisions to make your boat go faster?
Yeah. I think just to add on to that, and I know my situation, may or may not be a little bit more unique in a sense, but it's yes, it's how to make it go faster. But for me, it's about, what could we build? What could we add on to the boat that's going to enhance the experience of riding on the Stasek Group boat better for everyone who's in it. There's an element to that who needs to be booted out of the boat too, and there's that too. But it's more along the lines. What could the boat look like to make that a more enjoyable experience? And what you were said is the ultimate goal of time freedom. What can we add to it that's going to increase that? Because for me, I've beat this up with the two of you guys on individual calls a million times, and even Coach Burt and even Coach Sheplack. And it really, like, I want it to be something that I see other people being able to get to that time freedom. What does that look like? What would it need to look like for that? And just to give some people some context, about a few weeks ago, I was, home alone. The boys were, with their mom, and I was just sitting here by myself, and I cracked a bottle of wine, and I took that whiteboard there and I drew a line right down the middle, and I wrote, things Al loves and things Al hates, and I filled it all in. And it's just, I'm not saying that's the end all exercise, but that's what the exercise I started with. And it gets you real clear on what you don't want it to look like versus what you do want it to look like. And so I did that exercise, and then you just build off that from there, I think. But at the end of the day, it's going to come out beautiful. I know it. And that's about where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And you can put was it Tim Ferriss, or I'm sure somebody said it beforehand, but it's either a hell yes or it's a no.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, it has to be that way. Hey, cuz I know we built an empire off of email list. James is, what are some of the best ways to grow the opt-in email list, agent prospect contribution email list? What are some email best practices that can kind of share with James and everybody listening in?
Yeah. So, the easiest and fastest way to think about it is what is something of value that you could give away, right? So, it could be a video, it could be a download, it could be white paper, it could be anything of value that they could opt in to get. Another easy one that I like is surveys. You create a good survey, an interesting survey. People will fill out their information and be opted into the list or whatnot. So those are the two best ways I know.
Hey, Mitch, is it me, or is Keller talking like about a half of? Is his thing coming in like slower and deeper? It's on my end. That's so funny, dude. Here's how you sound. Here's what I would do if I. Like, am I tripping over here? That was so cool.
You may be tripping out, but it's on your end. It must be that cold Cleveland weather, cold internet.
It's coming through some way that way for some reason. That's funny.
That's great.
That's awesome. Cool. So, kind of what feedback, any ideas, thoughts, questions, conversations that you guys have been having? Kind of any themes as we're heading deep into the holiday season here?
I've had a couple calls, several calls the last few days, and there's definitely some, and so every time I get on a call where someone struggles, like they've been struggling, I always question whether I'm giving them the right advice or not, because it feels like I've said the same thing so many times that maybe it's not, maybe I'm missing something, right? But in the past 2 days, there's two calls specifically where the growth just isn't happening. And one of my takeaways, which I always go to the process first, right? So it's so easy for you to change something in the process, and it changes everything else in the outcome afterwards. So what are you saying specifically? And then what are you sharing with them? What video are you sharing with them? And if you change any one thing in the sequence of things that is the process, you will almost certainly change the outcome. And so that's the first thing. The thing that I also recognized was that some people are talking to people that are not a good fit. And one thing that I learned early on is, there's going to be a lot of people that jump off of the video in the first 5 minutes, the first 8 minutes, the first 15 minutes, or whatever the case may be. And, there's a skill set of getting them interested and committed to watch that you can improve upon, that will greatly enhance your chances of them actually sticking onto the end. And then there's the reality of are they really the right kind of person that we were trying to get to watch the video in the first place? And that was kind of my takeaway after these two conversations, is that sometimes you're talking to people that aren't trying to grow. And like the reason that people join this company is because they're hungry for something more. And there's more agents out there that aren't hungry for something more than there are out there that are. And so it's there's a smaller demographic of agents that I think that we try to talk to. And then, when you try to talk to an agent that is happy doing 10 deals a year, not looking to grow, they're not going to be likely to stay on and follow through with anything that you give them, no matter what it was. Even if it was, dig a hole to, find this pot of gold, they probably wouldn't do it. So like that, you just got to understand that some people aren't the right people. And so make sure that you're targeting with whatever you're doing and whatever conversations you're having, you're looking for people that are here and want to go to here. Like that's the number one thing. If you're here and you want to go here, there's no question that we can help those agents get to that goal. I think that's the thing that I see more clearly than anything, is the math is going to work out better at EXP almost for everybody. But look for the people that are proven to be successful in production, and that are either frustrated and hitting a wall trying to get to the next level, or they're hungry and looking for opportunity. Those people are the people that when I talk to someone, and again, this is, I'm kind of a little bit biased because in my perspective, because my conversations every day, all day for the last 4 years have been with people who watch the entire video. So I don't actually have very many experiences where I've talked to someone that wasn't the right fit, because the right fit always watches the video, right? So busy people sometimes don't watch the video. So sometimes the right fit don't make the time for it, or they get taken away from it, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of the time, if you're not really investigating this and you're not interested, either you didn't do a good job of getting them interested, which that you can improve that skill, or they may not be the right person. And so like, just keep that in mind when you're talking to people. Like, we're looking for winners here. We've always said this, and I'll always say this. Like, we don't help make winners. We make winners win bigger and faster. That's what we do here. So that's who we should be looking for, right? Like, those are the people that are going to become, and more importantly for your group, is those are the builders. Those are the people that are going to actually go do shit. So like, if you want, you can get 10 brand new agents to come join, but how does that help grow? How are you going to grow it with those folks? Sometimes they're just not the right fit. And so that was just my takeaway. It was a good question, John. Because, it really, in all the conversations I've had, it wasn't until the last couple of days that I realized that some people just are talking to the wrong kind of people. They're not a good fit.
Man, I love that. Kind of was taking me back what you were talking about. And Coach Burt says, it's the ideal team player, hungry, humble, smart, but Coach Burt throws in coachable. But, we've always looked at coachable as you have a growth mindset. It's one of our core values. There's 6 of them that have been core for us over the last decade. and growth mindset is that. But it takes me back to, what the original thought of Kendra Reese was going to be back in the day, back in 07, 06,
Right.
07, was a book called Coachable.
Right.
And you look at, what does that mean when you unpack it? Am I coachable? Is if I am of growth mindset, I am trying to get from where I'm at to where I want to go. And I think when you start layering in what we've been learning from Coach Burt, is that I believe that you need to be speaking to individuals that are coachable. I believe you need to be speaking to individuals that are hungry. You need to be speaking to individuals that are humble. And how do you uncover that? Well, I mean, there's questions. You ask questions to uncover that. And so everything you were saying right there is just I was just taking me back in time to think about, man, it's always been about surrounding yourself with people that, like you said, they're already winning. They just want to win bigger and they want to win faster.
100%. 100%.
Great question here. So how would you open up a conversation? And because I know you can speak to this, Al, you can speak to this, where all the agents in town are older, but you're doing more business than them. You're the hungry, aggressive kid that's crushing it in the market.
This sounds like a version of me.
Uh-huh.
I remember that. I remember those days. They loved you until you became their number one competitor, and then they stopped loving you as much. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm curious how Al might answer that.
Well, I mean, older. I mean, when you talk about older, I think you throw in like they have more time in the business. And if they have more time in the business, even if you're doing more than them, that's where you do the whole, kind of, I don't want to say bow down to them, but you show them some respect, toot their ego a little bit, and you approach them from, hey man, I know, we'll make up a name, Henry. It sounds like an old man named Henry. Henry Young out there. Man, I've always looked up and respected you as a leader and as a business person in our market here. You've done an amazing job. You built a great brand and a great name. I'm just curious. And then you start the conversation with them by asking them, you could ask them, what was the number one thing you do differently? If you were to be able to start over from day one today, what would you do differently having, now that you have 25, 30 years, whatever amount of years experience, what's the golden advice you'd give someone like me who's, what could you help me see around a corner that I'm not seeing right now? I would go to them, in a humble manner, asking for some advice to start building that rapport, and that's how I would open up the conversation. So, and then, you have to follow it and let it go from there. And I would ask a number of questions that lead to, trying to find some pain, because if you're asking them what they would do differently, then I guess the next question is, are they doing that? Or are they just giving the advice? And then I would say, what's currently your rock and your shoe? What's the next 10 years look like for your career? Now you can start digging toward the older they are, the more they're already realizing that they're trapped and they don't have an end game, and they're going to have to keep, selling their tail off until they just physically can't do it anymore. And so I would lead the conversation down that path. What would you do differently, John?
I 100% agree with you. You got to go in and asking questions and not one or two questions and then try to position another opportunity. I think somebody like that, you're going to have to get them. You look at the law of diffusion that Coach Burt, reminds us of. I think those are the type of people you're going to have 7 to 15 different interactions and adding of value, because they already have the gate of their mind is shut, and you're going to have to, be inquisitive, asking very valuable questions to even get their mind to even open at all. And like you said, you've got to create the pain. They may not even be aware that they have pain, right? They're in such, Groundhog Year mode, probably just, it's the same old version day after day, week after week, month after month, that they're not even aware that they have a pain. And I think you have to do that through asking questions to help them come to the realization. It's the whole inception, right? They have to believe that it's their original thought that they came to the understanding that they have a problem. And Jay, I mean, we can even talk about the big earn a little bit, right? With uncovering, I mean, geez, I mean, since what, 96, 97, an owner to do I really even have a problem?
Right. Yeah. 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 That's great. He's a great example. Finally joining EXP after a long time. But yeah, there's, it's, I think, going back to the script and the things that we have laid out in agent attraction training, you start with the confidence that, hey, listen, I really respect the business that you built. It seems like you've really done well over a long career. I'm curious, what's kind of your end game? What are you looking to accomplish? What does this look like, towards the end of your career? That might be a direction to take it as well. Because, either they've thought about it or they haven't, because, a lot of the agents are, they just wait till they drop dead door knocking at 95 years old. So, if they haven't been thinking about it, that, you're starting to plant that seed of starting to think about it.
Yeah. And I mean, then you could drop, how we're a little different, right? I believe that you should have an opportunity to have an exit strategy in an industry that doesn't have one. And, it's just such a great, understanding, because they just don't know. They're just not aware, right? That's what we talk about, the formula to change, and you're not going to change anything unless you have an awareness that you have a problem that you need to change.
Here, one other question you can write down that I believe could open up the gate of the mind, is asking them, hey, Henry, why I'm using the word Henry? Because I watched Goodfellas last night with Matthew. I love that
So
movie.
we got the AFA, and now we got the old agent that doesn't know what he's going to do. That's Henry. So we just added a new character into the conversation here. All right, I like it.
Henry, look, you've been around, 30 years. You've probably seen does it really matter what brokerage you're really selling homes out of? I mean, does the brokerage really matter? Does it really have that much of an impact on how many houses you're going to sell or how successful you're going to be? I would just get their mind thinking about that. Now, you're pulling their mind in a direction where they got to think like, does the brokerage really matter? And just get them spitting and see what they say. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter how they answer the question, because it does, based upon what direction you're going to take them from there. But getting their mind thinking in that way, does it really matter? What are the factors that would make it matter if it did matter? What would make it matter? Get them thinking, get them.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, and I think, most people listening in, their question to statement ratio is off. And so the best piece of advice that I could give anybody listening in is monitor your question to statement ratio. And, you should be 80% questions, 20% statements, and, pushing them always pushing them to something else. So that's the best advice I could give. Because I love this question. It feels like this person might have been sitting in the room with us in Vegas when Gaydosh was up there, and we were talking about Adam Holland. And, the agent here, the question is, I'm a new agent, just got my license this month, but also still, working still full time. I'm definitely hungry for something bigger and progress in my accounting career, but not in a position to go full time yet. What advice would you give for other agents in similar situations? Adam's situation was a little different. He was a full-time student,
right,
carrying more hours than just to get by, and he crushed it. And so what I would love for you to unpack that for this question.
Man, I mean, I think, when you look at the percentage of people that get into real estate and get out of real estate within the first year, especially the first 2 years, it's important to get started the best way possible. And this is something that, I've heard Al say this before, and I didn't always necessarily agree with it, but even with my own son, Braden, I think he would have done better had he joined a team with some structure and some accountability and some lead gen that was already in place, and things that it's just going to be difficult to be, if you're just getting into real estate, and even if you've been successful in another career and you have a sphere of influence and all of that, your first year is going to be only the people that already know, like, and trust you, right? And so, you can attempt to do some lead generation and start to figure a lot of that stuff out and try to accelerate the learning curve, but it's going to be a challenge. I would say, it might be best to consider, joining a team that has a lot of the systems in place, a lot of the transaction management stuff in place, and has, some accountability to what it takes to be successful in real estate. Otherwise, you're kind of left up to your own, what little time that you have to kind of figure it all out. And I think plugging into those systems early would be beneficial.
God, I could not agree more. And I know Al as of the same thought. And so when you look at the math equation for how much time we have each week, you back out sleep and everything, it leaves about 100 hours. So if you're working full time, let's say you are working 40 hours, well, that leaves you 60 hours to live the rest of your life. And so how much of that time allocation are you going to give to this career, this bigger opportunity where you have no ceiling, right? You're working in an accounting career, you have a ceiling unless you move into an ownership capacity. And that's going to take how long? Where you can, double or triple your earnings within the next 24 months if you're in an environment. So when you look at, hey, I only have 60 hours, maybe I have a family, maybe I can only allocate 20 hours. This is where the team, you create the leverage, because if you can spend 15 of those 20 hours doing the dollar producing activities and let the team handle the rest, you can quickly make this your full time. And the other challenge, and I would love your guys' take on this, is that you got to stop saying I work full time. You need to shift your mind as I'm a full-time real estate agent with a part-time job. Mm. Your part-time job might be 40 hours, but it's a part-time job if you're committed on making this your number one career opportunity. So I think you got to have a shift in your mind, and you got to leverage the heck out of a great team that's going to support you, so you can only spend the time that you have for real estate on the dollar producing activities, right? Lead gen, lead conversion, pitching your offer, showing properties, negotiating deals. And it comes down to, where are you going to allocate your time? And is this a priority for you?
Man, I love this question a lot. And it's funny, I wasn't going to answer that question the way you answered it, Jay, although we've been posed it many times, and you're right. I usually do go into the direction of the team. And, the other nice thing with a team, before I, comment on this, is that, you learn the things that you want it. Well, you learn the things to do, and then you learn the things not to do. You learn from a team leader or a mentor the right way of doing certain things. You also might learn the ways that you don't want to do them that way, but at least you're learning a way versus trying to blindly figure it out, on your own. So it's an experience. And so, but what I would say in adding into that, so if you have a team, definitely. If you don't have the opportunity, that you're in a market where there are no teams and that's not an option for you, what I'm going to say transcends to both, whether you're joining a team or you're going at it solo, is that you have to set a goal. Number one, you have to commit. Okay. Like when I got my real estate license, I was working for Chase Manhattan Mortgage in downtown Cleveland. And I'm not making this number up. I was making a salary of $19,000 a year, collecting on delinquent mobile home loans for mobile homes. And it was arguably maybe one of the worst jobs I've ever had. But living in the gain and not the gap, I learned how to smile and dial. I learned how to get hung up on it and then get right back up on the phone again. So there is a silver lining to it. But what I'm saying is, and I hated the job. I really hated it. So I had a big motivation to want to get out from underneath it. But my goal was, as soon as I put 2 deals under contract, I knew that would give me enough cushion to burn the boats, resign, and be able to pay my bills until I could, and then but I burned the boats. And at the end of the day, if you get 2, or maybe your number's 3, whatever it is, but it was I got one home sold, then I sold another one. I had 2 in pending. And I knew that period of time between 30 and 60 days that I was going to have enough cash to get my bills paid. But it also allowed me the time to resign from that shitty job and then hit it, because I needed to get some sales. I needed to get new customers. I needed to get listings. And this is in 1999. So, prior to the internet becoming a big thing, it was right on the verge of it, realtor.com launching and stuff like this. So 98 is when I was licensed. So I think it was 99 when I cut the cord and burned the boat. So, you got to decide, you got to commit. And that's the advice that I would give you. You got to trust yourself that you're going to win.
Yeah, man. So good. So good.
It's scary, man. I mean, when you think about going from a steady paycheck to, dang, I'm on my own. It's a gut checker. But I'm going to tell you this. If you're in this group, you're a honey badger. So you need to look in the mirror, find the belief that's down deep in there, and know that you're going to get it done. Because there's people that are probably a lot less talented than you, a lot less sharper between the ears than you, that have made it work. So if they can do it, you can do it. It's just a matter of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the courage to stay in the fight, right? And that's usually driven by, who you surround yourself with. That's why you have a higher probability of succeeding being in this environment and being a honey badger than not. And, somebody had mentioned early up that, the group is really the real value. We've talked about it, is that most people really, when they come over to EXP and align with us at when the Honey Badger Nation, they realize that the biggest value add is being a part of the Honey Badger Nation. Everything else just becomes secondary. And it's a great secondary, right? It's great additional revenue streams, ownership, but really it all comes back to circumstance and environment drives everything. And there's not a better environment to be plugged into than this Honey Badger Nation, which we're approaching 10,000, by the way. Cuz, do you know the exact head count of where we're at?
I don't know the exact head count, but it's getting real close.
4 years, 10,000 honey badgers joined EXP. There were 4,000 4 years ago.
Yep.
Nuts.
That's the gain, right? You look at how far we've come in a short amount of time. I mean,
we're at
amazing.
Right. Yeah, we're at 8,907. That might not be accurate.
I think Cuz would have to pull yours, pull his 7th, and pull Mikey's 7th to get us.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, I was going off of this group, but no, we're just I think I did the quick math. I think we're around 94, 9,500.
Yep, 9338.
9338. There you go.
Come on, honey badgers. Let's get to 10,000 before the new year.
38. Yeah, we're definitely going to we'll hit 10,000.
It's gonna be right there.
Hey, well, it's probably not even showing all of Franklin's brokers that they brought over.
No.
Yeehaw.
No, it's not. But that's really big, and it's good point, John. If anybody has an independent broker, I mean, I don't care what size they are, because we just had one 450 that was growing. And you know what's so cool about that? Did you see that they just started that brokerage 4 years ago?
Right.
And they recruited 450 the hard way. So what a heck of an effort. Cool story. You should be sharing that Inman article with your I've already shot it to 2 or 3 indie brokers in Cleveland people I've been just friends with for a long time. You should be sharing that story, because it's a powerful one. And what's cool about it is they talk about, the reasons that they moved over wasn't because they were doing poorly. I mean, they had their own hockey stick growth. They did it to upgrade their platform, to upgrade their offer to
Yeah. It's so powerful, Al, and it comes back to vision. And you go back to, you know, what the NAEA vision was prior to EXP, and this goes back to kind of, if you have this belief that there's always a better way, and when you have a clear, compelling vision, you're looking for any and all ways to help accelerate that vision, achieving it. And so prior to EXP, for those of you that may or may not have heard this story, it was 2,000 partners. And we were, you know, launching kind of our first regional partner. We were talking to other people about regional partners. We had over 20 partners in the DFW area. And, you know, sometimes you're forced, thank you, Al, to look at a possible better way. And you're like, does this help us get to the vision faster? Right? So does it make the boat go faster? And it's the same mantra when you have a vision. And this is, you know, what we talked about at Build. And, you know, Jay and I were talking about, you know, my presentation, talking about, you know, hey, the vision. He's like, man, people have to understand the vision gives you a decision-making filter. Am I making a better decision for my business because I have a clear vision? And, you know, for us, and it starts to evaluate everything, it's like, holy shit, we can plug into a better model that allows us to accelerate to the vision faster. 2,000 partners, what we accomplished that, it was like some 10-year BHAG, and accomplished the vision within 2 years. So, you know, you have that vision that you don't compromise, but you're always looking for a better model. And Al's example, I just want to kind of emphasize this, is that they saw a better model to plug into to help them accelerate whatever their vision is, and to be able to add more value, which is model, right? That's all model is how do you, you know, create, deliver, capture value. And that's all they saw. It's the same thing that we ended up seeing, and we accomplished it. We were like, are you kidding me? And so that's just how powerful that really is. Ricky made a comment there, and there is an agentattractiontraining.com you can go to. There is a clear system that we have followed for the last 4+ going on 5 years, and you can start that over at agentattractiontraining.com. We'll get you the foundation to be able to accelerate, you know, your agent attraction strategy. The book that we recommend, if you guys don't have a copy of it and you're serious about building, is Building an Empire from Brian Carruthers. You need to make sure you have that book. Those that really dive into that book, I always laugh because they say they read it about 4 or 5 times.
Yep. I would also, you know, I get those calls out like, hey, listen, I've been here for a year. I've been here for 2 years, and I've really I just focused on selling lots of houses because, you know, the business was just coming to me, and why not? But I never focused on agent attraction. What should I do first? I tell them what you just said, John, agentattractiontraining.com. There's also in this group, there's a agent attraction thing that basically like a library that Jay built. He has a 10x10 training in there that's fire. And the one that we just, I think it's pinned up, Coach Bert's training that he did in Vegas is up.
It's in the guides. You have to go in the guides.
Oh, in the guides?
Yep, the guides. It might be in the videos too if you search it, but it's easier if you just go to guides because they're all listed there.
Yeah.
If you go to guides, you have Expert Mentors Live. There's a bunch of, you know, just a ton of videos in there. Scroll down to Agent Attraction Training. And you have 6 in there. 7 skills to dominate agent attractions. Excellent. Dan Hillsman's in there, how he did it, 0 to 300 agents. Just such great. There's the 10x10 training if you scroll further. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom is Coach Bert's world-class selling system. It's all there for you guys. You didn't easy to find. Go in there and focus on it and commit to it, and then take action.
The other question we have here, that somebody's looking at opening a branch office, a hub where agents are their own brand, no color schemes, no rules, marketing, good idea, bad. People want to fit into a team, but I want a team atmosphere, but they go out and win on their own.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, love that.
I mean,
that's the future.
Yeah.
It is. You know, if you can nail the value proposition and keep your overhead as low as possible, then not only would I think you'd be creating the ultimate model, but a profitable one too. That's important. It's got to make money. And that's the thing where, you know, when you're going with a team, you know, the benefits of the team is your team members are going to have a lower cap, so they're not going to be paying a full 16. And obviously, you know, you're going to be providing a value proposition where you're going to be able to collect a split with that person based upon whatever you've agreed on. And without that, and they're paying a full cap, you know, it could be hard to convince someone to pay a 50-50 split when they're paying a full cap. I haven't seen anybody do it. Maybe on a deal for deal basis, but that's probably going to be about the extent of that. So, yeah, I think you're on the right track though.
I would create, you said no color schemes or rules to marketing. I would create some guidelines. You know, entrepreneurs like to break rules, so you can create some guidelines. It's always good to give somebody a framework to play within. You know, it's the whole, even, you know, you got the gutters, keep them on the lane of, you know, just best practices, things to, you know, help shorten the curve, you know, encouraging them to stay consistent in what they're doing. But even if you look at like the Honey Badger Nation, right, you look at there's guidelines, there's some rules that we've established with the Honey Badger Nation. So I think you would want to, you know, create some boundaries. Don't leave it like a free for all, the Wild Wild West, but give them some flexibility and some best practices to play within. The whole thing is that you need them to be successful. If they're not successful, you're not going to be successful. So how can you help and support them to, just like Al said, part of the value proposition, to get them into productivity to where they're producing results. They're creating a reputation that you want, that to where to amplify. That's really what your brand is, right? You want brands that have a great reputation that can amplify in the marketplace to be able to create more mind share, because once you have mind share, then you have market share. And that's, you know, you want everybody to win together. That would be my only 2 cents.
Yep. Love it.
So let's, we've got a couple things coming up. We know, you know, wish all of you guys a fantastic and healthy and wonderful Thanksgiving. We've got our NAEA boot camp that we do the first week of December. We have for the last 10 plus years. So I know Cuz is making the trip out of Puerto Rico to come into Frisco. Looking forward to that. We still have some spots available. Attend naeabootcamp.com. If you guys are close or thinking about it, want to come in and spend a couple days with us in Frisco, Texas. So attend naeabootcamp.com. Definitely getting into the holidays. And then I know we haven't nailed it down yet, but I know 22 will have a mastermind or two that I know we owe all of the fine folks in the Honey Badger Nation. We've been trying to put together one for the last couple of years, dealing with all of the restrictions in the islands. So I know we'll have that coming up for you guys pretty quick. And then you guys are working on a pretty cool product that's going to help the agent attraction efforts for everybody involved.
Absolutely. In process.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Anything that you guys want to kind of leave everybody with as we wrap up today's Honey Badger Q&A?
I just want to tell everyone I'm thankful for you, and have a happy, safe Thanksgiving with your families. And I'll be eating some turkey and stuffing for everybody here in this group. Enough for everybody, probably. So,
right on. We're thankful, grateful for everyone here, and make sure we finish the year strong.
That's it. Run through the finish line. And man, appreciate you two very much. grateful that we get to spend this time together every week and, you know, pour back into all the amazing human beings that we have in the Honey Badger Nation.
Appreciate you, Johnny.
Cool. Thanks, brother. Love you guys.
Good job.
Cool. We'll see you guys. Have a great Thanksgiving.
DJ.
See ya.